All right, so we're gonna tie one of my favorite brook trout flies. I love sparkle minnows, Creelex minnows. I love the Scotty's McFly when it comes to fishing for brook trout. A lot of my brook trout flies, especially when I'm talking about backcountry brook trout way up north, they're more of an attractor fly than they are a realistic representation of a bait fish or anything like that. One of the old standby attractor streamers is the Mickey fin. So what I did here is I took a very staple pattern, the Scotty's McFly, awesome smallmouth bass fly, equally awesome brook trout fly, and I tied it in the colorations of the Mickey fin. I find yellow is an extraordinary color when you're fishing a lot of those tannic watersheds, a lot of those dark waters that we find up from Algonquin Park, north of there into the Arctic watersheds. Oftentimes it's very dark tannic water. That color yellow really seems to pop, and I love a lot of bright colors. So this is a great fly. Works equally well in rivers or in lakes. When it comes to lake fishing, definitely want to keep it lightly weighted, relying on more of a sinking line when you're fishing it. When you're fishing in rivers, you could weight it a little heavier just to get down into some of that high gradient rapids where a lot of these brook trout are living. So this is a great all-around fly. Tie it up, throw it in your box, and I think you're going to be really happy with some of the results that you find eating some of these bigger streamers for brook trout. This fly came out of using a Scotty's McFly. I typically tie it in a white and orange variation, or white and orange is the original, but this is a yellow and orange or yellow and red variation of that fly. This is the color of the Mickey fin. So to pay homage to Scotty, the inventor of that fly, I call it the McMickey as opposed to the McFly. So it's a really easy tie. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a size 4. This is like your standard streamer hook, 4XL streamer hook. This is the Mustad Roar streamer hook here. So I'm sure everybody's got those at home. Typical standard hook. And we're also gonna use a cone head on it, but instead of using a copper cone, we're gonna use a black cone. So that's the drift brass cones that we have. This is in the 1/4 inch size, which is perfect. So I'm just gonna put one on my hook. So there you have it. It's your cone head. And to secure that cone, I usually use some kind of wire. This is a lead-free wire. This is in the 0.20 size range. And I'm just gonna use a few wraps of that, just so I can jam it up against that cone and I know it won't go anywhere. All right, so wire's jammed up right against the cone. We're just gonna take some 6/0 black thread and we're gonna make a little bit of a thread dam. That's just gonna prevent anything from sliding and moving around. The idea here is this fly, it is lightly weighted, so it will sink, but we don't want to put a ton of weight on it because typically I'm fishing this fly, it's going to be more of a stillwater environment a lot of the time. And I want that fly to have some action. So if I use something really heavy, like a very heavy lead tungsten, or I put tons of lead weight in it, the fly's going to have less action when I'm stripping it. So I'm really relying more on the line to give me the action in the fly. So that lead wire is more of a lead-free wire is more of a, just to keep my cone in place. So. Once I get that thread dam and that wire's not moving, I'm just gonna move my thread, build up a little bit of an underbody. That's just so stuff doesn't slide around. And then now what I'm gonna do is I'll just take your generic yellow marabou, and that's gonna be the tail of the fly. So I want a nice piece of marabou that's got nice flowy fibers to it, and it's gonna give me lots of action. So anytime you're tying flies and you're using a marabou tail, you want to keep your proportions consistent. Best way to do that is just to use the hook gauge as your sizing point. So this fly, the hook should really be in the center of the fly. So I'm really creating a tail that's really, I would say, about the same length as the shank of the hook. If it's a little bit more, it still looks really good. I just don't want some kind of very, very long tail. Otherwise, you run the risk of getting short strikes, which brook trout seem to do quite often. All right, so I'm just securing my marabou down, just like you do for any other fly. And then I always go right up to the lead wire because that just creates a nice consistent body on that fly. So if anybody knows the Mickey fin, the traditional pattern, it had a silver tinsel as the body of the fly. It's a flat silver tinsel. It's very, it's not very robust, But this is a bulky fly. I want the fish to be able to see this fly. I want them to be able to find it from a long way away. A lot of those waters where you find those brook trout, the water's very tannic, very dark. I want a nice bright fly that's going to kick out all kinds of flash and movement. It's really going to call them in and hopefully cause them to strike. It's more of an attractor than anything else, so you really want some flash on this fly. We're going to use some medium UV polar chenille, and it's going to be silver. Again, just because we're trying to emulate that color pattern of the traditional Mickey fin. All right, so there is your polar chenille. And this is the medium size. You could even go the standard size if you want an even bulkier fly. This one tends to look a little better. So I'm just gonna palmer up my chenille all the way up the body of the fly. And I'm stroking the fibers back, and that's just because I don't want them sticking forwards or getting caught. Then I'm gonna lose all that great quality that the polar chenille provides. And I'm gonna go up almost to the end. I'm going to leave a little bit of a space there because we still have a few more materials to tie on. So tie off your polar chenille. Make sure it's not going to go anywhere. That's the bottom, or the belly of the fly. So the other characteristic of a Mickey fin is that it has a combination of yellow and either orange or red in it. I'm really a fan of yellow flies for brook trout, and so I'm going to stick some marabou as the yellow wing over the top. Again, I want to choose a very nice color or nice feather for this. This is going to really dictate what the fly looks like as the end product. Sometimes you might need to take 2 feathers if you could only have some of these smaller ones. I think that's a good one right there. All right. Actually, I'm going to take 2. Okay. So there's our marabou. I have 2 marabou feathers pinched between my fingers, and I'm going to lay that down the length of the fly. I'm not going quite to the length of the tail. I don't want like a very, I don't know, triangular shaped fly. I want a little bit of a taper, so I'm going about halfway down the tail. And it's only on the top part of the fly. This is our wing. Okay. Tie that in, make sure it's not going to go anywhere on you. And don't worry about the head. There's going to be a bit of a cheater's trick here to hide your ugly head of the fly. So that is the wing of the fly. Now, I'm going to add a bit of a head, and I'm going to do so using a combination of the laser dub. I got a fluorescent orange and I got a yellow laser dub. If you have a red laser dub, that works great as well, just keeping in the tradition here. We're going to put the yellow laser dub laying over the top part of the fly and the belly, and then the orange laser dub is going to go as far as cheeks. And so that's going to give us that typical Mickey fin coloration. I'm going to start with the yellow. This also adds a bit of flash, a bit of bulk, just makes things look good. So anytime you're working with laser dub, it's a good idea to make sure that all of your fibers align. A little too much in my hand there. So I'm just crossing it over, just like you would with any dubbing. And I'm gonna lay that down on the top to start. I love laser dub because it's just so easy to tie in. A couple of wraps, that's all you really need. I'm gonna do the same thing on the bottom. If you saw my streamer box, you just see a whole bunch of flies that look exactly like this. Okay. And then now I'm gonna add the cheeks. So just a little bit of orange. Okay, and then to stroke all your fibers backwards. There we go. And then that is the finished product right there. So that is the McMickey. Basically Scotty's McFly tied in the color patterns of a Mickey fin. That's a dynamite brook trout fly. Nice and bright, lots of flash. They're gonna find that in that tannic water. And if you can find the fish and stick that in front of them, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. The end. All right, so that's it. That's the McMickey. My name is Nick Roman. I'm a local Ontario angler here. If you want to connect with me, let me know how these fished for you. You can reach out to me. Instagram's best way, and you can find me at Salamographer on Instagram.